Hello and welcome to House Planet Bite Size, the podcast brought to you by House Planet and House Philly. My name's James Farley, the founder of Host Planet, and our goal is to share everything you need to know about buying and managing short-term rentals. Today's guest is Miro Gospodinov from My Data Value, and he's got 5 tips to share on optimising your listing on Booking.com. Okay, real talk now for all you hosts out there. You know that moment when your guest messages you again with, "Hey, what's the Wi-Fi code?" Or you're staring at 5 different calendars, wondering if you've accidentally double booked the cottage. Yes, we've all been there. That's why here at House Planet, we recommend House Philly. It's basically your rentals control center. It handles bookings across all the big platforms, syncs your calendars to ensure there are no double bookings, automates guest messages, and even creates these really slick digital guidebooks that stop all the repeat questions. Honestly, it just makes your life easier and keeps your guests happier, helping you achieve those all-important 5-star reviews. And here is a little bonus. If you're a House Planet listener, you can get $500 off onboarding for House Philly's property management software and 30% off digital guidebooks for life. Just hit the link in the show notes and use the codes PLANET500 for the PMS and HousePlanetGB for the guidebooks. And if you'd like a proper walkthrough, there's also a link to book a demo with Frank Bosey from House Philly. He will show you how it all works. Less stress, more bookings, sorted with House Philly. Miro, welcome to Host Planet Bite Size. Thank you for joining us. You've got 5 tips to share about how to optimize your listings on Booking.com. So take it away with tip number 1.
Thank you for inviting me, James, and it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. And actually, even before I start, I want to provide some context. Actually, Booking.com is one of the largest, it's actually the largest online travel agency, OTA, in Europe. So essentially, what I will share, I think it will be directly applicable for most of the hosts and the viewers of your podcast. To start with the first tip, we're going to focus on rank. And when I say rank, this means the position of your listing, Booking.com listing, once you go as a guest on the Booking.com page. And the higher you rank, and especially in the top 20, the first page, then the likelihood somebody to book your listing, it's quite important. What we have seen, we have done a research for over 1 million listings, and we spent the beginning of the year a few months on that. So actually what we have found out is a huge correlation in terms of the rank. Again, not necessarily to be as high as possible, but to be immediately visible for potential guests and potential guests of Booking.com. And actually, if we think about rank, this is top of the funnel. And then you have low on the funnel, you have the rank that is dependent on the different filters. You have length of stay, number of adults, different device types, desktop, mobile, as we said, the number of people as well that they are staying. And all this is opening for you how many potential visitors, how many potential guests will see in terms of searches on Booking.com. The higher the visibility, the higher likelihood. And then what we want is to go to the listing views, being as attractive as possible. That will go with the next tips. And then we're going to the lowest funnel, where the last phase, where is the conversion? And the conversion, actually, it's about, okay, can I generate revenue and can I be efficient in terms of my search views? And the ranking is very important, and it's good to monitor the ranking on individual days in advance for individual. What is your competitive position for each day, let's say for the next 180 days, for the next 365 days. This way, you're increasing the potential of your listing and you can generate more revenue.
So how do you improve that ranking?
This is a very good question. And we're going to go straight into the tip number 2, naturally leading to it. Actually, it's a lot about, for us, promotions. You have different factors. So when you say promotions, what we have found out is, I will give you an example. One of our clients is actually institutional provider. So he has listings in UK, France, and as well Spain. And what he has done is actually he's been using dynamic pricing, but this wasn't enough because he didn't optimize his channel. And optimization is actually on a channel level and is not just a fix. So you have a lot of like over 1,000 different combinations on booking.com that you can combine. What is, if you have a new property, it's a new property batch. This gives you immediately jump to the top, as we said, in terms of the rank and answering your question. So this is just one tip. Limited time deal, being in the newsletters within booking.com. And then limited time deal is one of the lowest hanging fruits because you immediately become in the top few of the search rank. And this gives you a massive exposure. It's all about the attractiveness and the conversion actually to lead to the next parts of the funnel and different promotions as a booker, last minute, basic deal. And how do you balance that across the whole period of time between the different, let's say 180 days? What is my first 7 days between 7 to 30 to 180? However, this is where it becomes complicated because you can still have a basic setup, but if you really want to make sure that you leverage your visibility, it's important to understand the different competitive position for each window every day, the next future booking, and obviously as many available days of availability. So you increase the potential of your listing.
You mentioned there the special offers and having something available, and that's going to improve your ranking. Is it possible to always be running some kind of special offer on booking.com?
I love your question, and this is actually most of the operators as well are they're trying to leverage on that. And based on our findings, is actually you want to be smart about it. So it should be on and off. You need to have different. So it's dynamic channel optimization, which at the moment nobody does in the industry, or they're doing that manually through spreadsheets. And obviously, as a company, this is our biggest focus. So actually having the batch all the time, it's like that you'll get penalized from booking.com. So essentially you want to balance that if you're using property management system, potentially with your markup. Then you can be, when I say A/B testing, is do changes. You do this. Now we're going actually to the next tip with, there is, actually it's the fourth tip. I will mention this in a second, but it's all about benchmarking and understanding your how actually the changes, what is the impact of the different changes.
Okay, so not a permanent special offer, but keep using it when it's relevant. Okay, then. So we've had a couple of tips. So what's tip number 3?
Excellent. So we're going to rate plans. So rate plans is actually the foundation of the channel optimization, regardless, not only for booking.com. So what does it mean is rate plans, in order to give the maximum exposure, it's good to have you have like different cancellation policy, let's say non-refundable or flexible. This is a rate plan foundation that is increasing your visibility. Now, if we go to the specific, this separate topic in itself, what is your operational strategy? Are you operating in urban, suburban area, geographic area? Because then your strategy will be different. Do you have a lot of weekend bookings? Do you want to limit your length of stay? So again, it's not always about providing the biggest exposure, but it's to align this with the 50,000 feet strategic view in terms of what do you want to achieve as a company or for this particular listings or portfolio of listings. And this is normally giving a good exposure. And then we're going to the discount rates in terms of 7 days and then 30 days. So this is especially useful for vacation rental operators. When you operate a larger property, you have actually more competitive advantage and you have just one availability. When you have a multi-unit, let's say like a hotel strategy, you can do double bookings, right? And these double bookings, actually, it's offsetting your risk if somebody doesn't turn up and it doesn't block your calendar. And when you do, for example, 7 days or 30 days, you're targeting and limiting the gaps in your calendar, especially in the high season. This is extremely important.
Interesting. And what you mentioned there about the flexibility, giving people the right to cancel and have no charge. I always think that's one thing that helps properties on booking.com to really stand out, because you as a consumer, it gives you that peace of mind. If you know that you can cancel maybe right up until the last minute or up until like 48 hours before, it can make a huge difference to whether you're going to make a booking or not, especially if it's for a high value. So if you've got special offers and you're offering the free cancellation up to say 48 hours before, that's going to give you a huge boost on booking.com. And I guess that's something that a lot of vacation rental hosts, they maybe prefer not to do. But I wonder kind of how many guests, if they've got the option of free cancellation, actually do cancel. I guess most of them, they will take the trip.
Actually, thank you for mentioning that. This leads us to tip number 4, which is again very much related to what you said, and it's all about our understanding of the market and competitor set. And actually, the tip is to use and leverage on Booking.com extranet as much as possible. Booking.com extranet is the portal that you log in as owner. Doesn't matter if you have a single listing or a portfolio of listings, and this is where actually you have cutting edge analytics that they can tell you immediately from the single source of truth in terms of channel, in terms of the channel, in this particular case, Booking.com, because they provide you the real data for your markets. For example, if we go on a city level, we can see, just by looking into Booking.com extranet city demand, we can see who is booking how many days in advance. So we can see this book window, and you can see the different buckets. This is for your city. Also, you can customize for your competitive set, for your peer group. Competitive set is, let's say, top 10 properties. Peer group is the top 50 properties, and then the market level. And you have one more level, which is region, where you put what is the searches for the past 14 days, 30 days. This gives you immediately overview. Okay, what is my visibility? If somebody is booking one day in advance, and if you're restricting one day in advance booking, then obviously you might be missing 50% of bookings. Then it's the same thing for length of stay. So length of stay, it's again, the most popular normally it's one night, especially in busy urban cities. So this normally can be for London is 50+%. And this is impacting you straight away. Doesn't mean that you need to do it because there is a huge demand. So it's all about understanding the demand in this particular tip. And by understanding the demand, then we can fine tune our listing to find the best possible positioning. And this is directly correlated with the promotions that we were discussing. Of course, you will be having a foundation of dynamic pricing, but you need another layer of actually customizing for your channel. And then is the device type. Is it on mobile? Is it on the web? What is the, as you said, cancellation policies actually coming from the previous question? You can see your city, you can see your peer group, you can see your competitive set, you can select properties around you, and you can see actually how they are being booked on booking.com. So it's apple to apple comparison, and it's not mixed, for example, as aggregation or just scrape data, but is coming actually from the source. So for me, everybody needs to leverage as much as possible. Again, paralysis analysis. So again, you want to limit how much information you take, but there is some very low hanging fruit that you can immediately leverage on and optimize your booking.com exposure.
Yeah, it's very useful. I mean, you've got all those analytics, all that data in front of you. You might as well use it and utilize it and see what your competitors are doing. And if they're getting more bookings than you've got an idea of how they're achieving it. Okay, then, Miro. So tip number 5.
Thanks, James. Tip number 5, actually, for us, this is coming, especially it's aligned with our company strategy, and for us is the most important. And actually, we discussed this with you, actually, in terms of the podcast at the beginning. It's all about actually tracking, testing the changes. To do a snapshot of different performance, let's say for the previous day. Do you do that manually to a spreadsheet? Even on our website for free, you can with one button extract for your property 180 days, 365 days for every single position, and you have automatic competitor set. So this is completely free as well. And for us, it's important that you take these snapshots when you do changes. So actually to try to answer at 10, 20, 50%, 70% confidence, what are these impacts? Okay, is it my content? if I change my title price. But if the correlation with the price is 50-60% on the market, your competitive position is changing, you are not optimized with the promotions and the different changes, then this is impacting your performance. So we're taking a snapshot in terms of the whole, in terms of the prices, channels optimization, the content, and even the users, they can do that in a spreadsheet, in a simplified spreadsheet. What are those changes that they work on an individual property level? Of course, when you optimize portfolio properties, then this is a huge problem. Of course, this is where we are coming in as well. But for us, this is extremely important, because then you start making data-driven decisions. Where do I want to compete for each? Where do I want to position and obviously compete for each individual day in advance? You understand clearly what is my availability, who are my competitors, and based on that, you can now, when we spoke in terms of even the promotions and rates, you can do lots of different tests, and you do normally split test different changes for different properties. And we're coming to the benchmarking that we discussed earlier. I wanted to touch base on. It's benchmarking is about as well. You can do that same time last year, the traditional one, hotels that they're using. Then you have your competitors positioning. So in real time, because the demand and supply, it's very unique for this particular snapshot of time, and we want to benchmark in real time. So that's why it's very important to track your ranking, price position, and also your market area and closer competitors where they are. So again, this comes complementary actually to the foundational dynamic pricing from our perspective. So you can unlock a lot of revenue by actually understanding, tracking, then iterating things that they have performed. So changes that they have made a big impact to your Booking.com listings.
Very good. Yeah, well explained as well. So if you were setting up a listing tomorrow on Booking.com, what are the few things that are absolutely essential to get right to ensure that you're going to get bookings straight away?
That's a very good question. And actually, I will just start then top-down approach, 50,000 feet view. And this is not only for Booking.com, but generally when you list the listing, you want to do that. So where you want to start from? So strategic. What is my availability? What are my operational restrictions? What can I do and allow myself depending on my operational teams or individually as a host? So once you know that, then you are moving to actually understanding the market. This is what we have set. You can list your property as a draft on Booking.com. You can get immediate access to all these analytics for free, even without the software. So this is a no-brainer by looking at, okay, what is my market? What is the dynamics? When is the seasonality? You can look actually in the sales report in Booking.com for the past, sometimes up to 20 years. I can see what is. Very few people know that, but this is huge. And again, not that the history, it will be always consistent, but it's very good baseline actually to understand a particular market, and actually even to make an investment is not just to manage your listing. And coming back, listing your property, so analyzing the trends. So this is determining my strategy, what my strategy is for the listing in terms of the price, in order to have a competitive position, and then the layer of channel and rates optimizations, where actually I can make sure that I can do these changes. So organically, even with PMS markup, I can balance and keep my net ADR, doesn't eat for my net ADR. It's rate parity, is the equality in price between the different channels. And once I'm confident in that, then I go and I also monitor my listings in terms of content optimization. Now you have good copy, title, images, and this is the content optimization layer. By having all of that, I'm improving the likelihood of this listing to have a health score in terms of static changes, 100, dynamic changes, 100. But it's very difficult part, especially to learn and change, because you need to do on a dynamic level and then on an individual channel level, because the channel level is super important in terms of visibility and exposure. But this is where a lot of resources are taken and you don't have a lot of automations.
Fantastic. Some brilliant tips there. So Miro, just tell us a bit more about My Data Value and where people can find out more information.
Yes, of course. Actually, you can find it on our website, as I mentioned a few times as well, when I was going through the different tips. You can see our website at mydatavalue.com. You can see we have a research, which is open in terms of booking.com ranking research. And what I have discussed, but actually in detail, it's open for anybody. They can look into it, read. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'm always open, trying to be active on LinkedIn as well. And then we have free tools on our website. When you click on free tools, actually you'll see that we're providing the free tool where you can enter your booking.com name or URL, and you can search for over 4 million plus booking.com listings, and you can find your property, your competitors, just with a single click. You can see that and leverage on this intelligence. Then we have a free calculator for promotions and for rates. Actually, again, it's free to open. So actually you understand how they stack up and how you can even do your strategy if you want manually. That's not a problem at all. And the last one is actually our Chrome extension. So we have a Chrome extension. We spoke a lot about booking.com extranet. We have access as well to the booking.com public data in terms of the snapshots, but we are complementing with what we said about booking.com extranet, so we can actually make more intelligent decisions. And we are actually, I will mention this one, we're going to start being more active as well about that and communicate. In a few weeks, we're going to launch actually completely new launch of My Data Value, where we are leveraging on AI recommendation to optimize your booking channel and promotions, and you're able to automate that with one click. And it's very exciting, but I think this is a different topic.
Sounds very exciting indeed. Yeah, looking forward to hearing more about that. And yeah, I think I need to get on there and optimize my booking.com listings, because I mean, at the moment, I would say probably, the majority of my bookings come from booking.com and Airbnb, but it feels like with booking.com, there's a lot more potential and probably a lot more growth coming. It's an interesting area to be focusing on. Miro, thank you so much.
We can touch base on that on a separate note.
Yeah, let's chat. Miro, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Host Planet Bite Size.
Thank you for inviting me again. It was a pleasure.
Great to chat to Miro there about booking.com. Those special offers and your cancellation policy could supercharge your growth on Europe's biggest OTA. All right, that's it for today's episode. Remember, this podcast is brought to you in collaboration with Hostfully, which is trusted by short-term rental professionals across the globe. As a Host Planet listener, you get 2 exclusive offers: $500 off onboarding for Hostfully's property management software. Just use the code PLANET500, and 30% off digital guidebooks for life using the code HostPlanetGB. To grab these deals, click the link in the show notes or head to hostfully.com. For more free education, tips and trends from the STR industry, visit hostplanet.club, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcasts, and download a suite of ebooks for hosts and property managers. That's it for today's episode of Host Planet Bite Size. Until next time, happy hosting.